maybe now that it's quiet, maybe even though we don't have the volume turned up yet, how's that? Okay. Thank you for coming. I'm Ann Butler, for those of you who don't know me. I'm chairman of the library trustees, and we do thank you for coming here today. It takes time out of your Saturday projects, I'm sure. Today's program is a few brief presentations. The first one will be by Betty Strader, and she will give you a PowerPoint presentation of the current project. Then Jim will make some comments and ask for money, I'm sure, on the status of the Meredith Library Fund. They have worked, that whole group has worked very, very hard to get us where we are today, and we are very close to our goal. Then Aaron will speak briefly with some statistics and other trivia that you may or may not be interested in, but I think you must be or you wouldn't be here today. Then we have a raffle. Aaron's in charge of that. After that, the mug is supplying us pizza, and the Friends of the Meredith Library, of whom there are many in the audience, and if you know who they are, tell them thank you for their cookies and cakes and whatever else they brought. And that will be the end of our program. The trustees will be here to answer any questions, should you like to do that afterwards, and we mingle with you. Thank you.
Thank you, Ann. Bear with me, I'm getting over a cold, so I'm excited. This is the latest rendition, the brief history for most of you who know. 2 years ago, the town bought a lot off of High Street to provide extra parking for municipal parking lot. And last year, the town, our community at town meeting said, hey, let's go ahead and design this thing. And that's what we've been doing for a year. So this rendition is a little different from some of the others you've seen. In order to make the front handicapped accessible, we had to wrap the walkway around the front patio. But that's a positive. That gives a better connection to Main Street. And you can imagine people sitting out on that patio on a warm day, hard to think of in February. But it's going to be a great connection for drawing people into the library. From the front, which we'll see a little bit later, it still retains the look it always has. This is the back of it. I'm calling it the High Street side because now most of the library will be accessed from the High Street parking lot. So there's handicapped accessibility both from the front and the rear, and the historic entrance remains. On the right, you can see this is where the new program room will be, large program room, where a lot of our programs will take place. This is a new first floor children's room. Upstairs are stacks where the adult collection will mostly be housed. And on the top of the program room is an expandable space that we could always finish and use if we found we needed more storage for a library of things. There are so many things libraries are doing now. You know, they're doing toy exchanges. They're doing so many things, baking pans, just technology, so many things. So they all take space to store that. This gives you an idea. The gray is the original library as it exists today. The blue is all the addition. So you can see we're doubling the size of the library, but we're also condensing it from 7 split levels to 2. It will function on 2 levels. The parking lot will now be accessed from High Street, and it'll be a one-way flow in and out. The other rectangle is the Baptist Church. And this is probably easier to picture than that overhead view. The area, there's 27 parking spots, 2 handicap spots, and 1 dedicated drop-off spot very close to the door. We've laid out this parking lot at least 4 different ways to try and maximize the number of spots, but we're limited by some issues with the retaining wall and the grade of the property. So 27 will be more than 4 times what we have now, and we're excited by that. And we're excited by how accessible it will be for people. Most of you probably have already seen the walkthrough, so I'll go through it briefly if you haven't. So a few things have changed from when we did this originally, but I'm going to stop it here to get your varies. Right now, in front of you would be where you come in, the historic room to the right, historic room to the left, and the circulation desk would go across that space. Now the circulation desk is going to be turned, and it's going to be sideways. And there's a lot of advantages to this. It will give the library staff the ability to see all three entrances, the back entrance, the front entrance, and the new handicap front entrance. The two front rooms will be restored to how they looked in the early 1900s as best as we can. We recently found some pictures of what it looked like in 1901 when it opened, so we're trying to replicate even the lighting fixtures of that era. Excuse me, go back.
I'm gonna go back to the fly-through.
So we've gone in the front door, we're looking at the historic rooms. The floors will be refinished, there'll be a lot more electric outlets. And these will be a great place. The fireplaces will be working. It'll be kind of like Meredith's living room, and that you can read your newspaper, you can have a coffee. We're gonna have a coffee bar here. All sorts of things to make this very friendly and welcoming. As you walk past the circulation desk, you'll see over to the left will be an opening, and this is where the restrooms will be located, 2 handicap accessible restrooms. Now we're leaving the historic building and we're walking into the new addition. These trees are part of the forest theme in the children's room. They probably won't be in the library. The space you're looking at now, this is a computer area. We'll have computers set up here. We'll also have laptops where people can take them and go anywhere and sit at their leisure. They want to be in one of those front rooms. And you're looking also at the back of the library as it exists today. The back of the library will remain, but will be encapsulated in the new addition for energy efficiency. The new building will meet current standards, but because we're capturing the old building in it, it'll increase the energy efficiency of the entire building. So you're now walking through a space where there'll be books and computers. To the left, you have over here is the accessible entrance. This is the large program room, an art gallery in the foyer there. You're seeing the large program room. Most of the bigger events will take place here. The kitchen at the back will be closed in, it won't be open. And speakers, programs will all happen here. You're coming back out of that space. Again, you can see through to the circulation desk here, so they have eyes on everything going on here. You're walking past the children's room, and you're going into the teen space. So this is currently, for those people who are familiar with the library, the fiction room. And you can get there via a ramp to make it accessible for staff moving books or someone with mobility issues, or you can go down a short flight of steps to get to the teen area. There'll be gaming, there'll be all the teen programs, there'll be tables set up there and programs. So there'll be a dedicated space for the young adult collection and children in the teen ages. So you're now seeing that space. Okay, we've just gone upstairs into the new addition. These are where all the adult stacks will be located. To the right, you see some glassed-in rooms. Those are private, quiet study rooms that you can reserve. What you're seeing now is, again, the back of the original library as it exists today. And this is becoming our genealogy room. So it's on the mezzanine level, which is now currently the young adult section. And when you come in here, you can see the glass that separates it from the historic library. Those glass panels will keep it quiet, and they'll act as a fire barrier. And in this room, there'll be tables, there'll be old newspapers, there'll be computers for genealogy research. There'll be a great space for groups to meet that are larger than might fit in a small, quiet study room. It'll be, this will actually be a door here, it won't be open. So these are the quiet study rooms you're looking at now. And if you go down here to the nonfiction area, you're looking at a similar situation to what you saw on the first floor, where you can go down via a ramp or a short few steps to get to the currently the nonfiction area, which will become our creativity space. And we think there's a lot of potential for this space. We don't know exactly what we're gonna do with it yet. We're thinking technology, there's a media room there that'll be useful if someone wants to do a podcast, if they work from home and they need some specific equipment to go into a meeting. The creativity space, it might be where we have our watercolor classes, our calligraphy classes, arts, it could be technology. It's just, there's a whole realm of things. There may be a 3D printer in there when someone donates it to us.
It's already been done.
All sorts of ideas for how we can work within our community in that space. But we're gonna let the community say to us, hey, this is what we wanna do. We're setting it up with tables, casters that move, and people can, there'll be counters, there'll be sewing machines, the things you might not have in your house, but you use it occasionally, and hey, I can go do that at the library. So what is it gonna cost us? The construction costs about $4.5 million, contingency, $215,000, furniture and equipment, IT, AV equipment, that adds $230,000. So the total project cost is just shy of $5 million. We have already raised $915,000 in hand in private donations. Hundreds of people within our community have stepped up, and Jim will talk a little bit more about that. So the total bond amount is just barely over $4 million. So we've really brought that down with private donations. The anticipated bond is 20 years, and it'll cost about 15 cents per 1,000 of assessed property value. So we're excited about this, and this is just another rendition of what the entire project will look like. We're hoping to have we're moving the veterans sign for World War II to the other side, and we'd like to encompass it in a whole area. The tree will still be there. There's no trees on this rendition, but they will still be there. And there'll be some new benches, and there'll be a nice gathering veterans type area where we'll bring it all into one space. Are there any questions? Did I go too fast? You didn't hear me?
Oh, we've seen it enough times.
I said you saw it before, but it's changed. See?
Oh, I got it.
Is there an elevator?
There is an elevator, and I should have mentioned that. That's the beauty of it. The elevator will go between the two floors, so when you come in off either the back entrance or the front, you can either go up a set of stairs to the second floor, or you can take the elevator. And the elevator will also go most of the way to the basement, where there'll be a friend's book sale area. But whatever you want to do on the library, it'll happen on the two floors, and then to the extent that there's those ramps accessing the half stories down to the 86 edition. Any other questions?
You probably said this, but how many entrances are there?
There are 3 entrances, front and rear handicapped, and then the historic entrance. Now, while we're in construction, the only entrance will be the historic entrance. With ramps, but there will still be steps. Yes?
Might put a railing from the old main entrance down to those 4 or 5 steps, a little tricky.
There will be a railing there, it's just not in the picture. But great point. But they didn't draw our railing because they wanted it to look pretty. We wanted it to be safe. We wanted it to be safe.
How long do you anticipate the construction renovations to take?
They're under a year. That's so, and the library should remain open for most of that time. Because what we'll do is we'll build the new addition, and then after that's done, then we'll move into the new addition and function on some level while they renovate the historic area, and then we'll have a completed library. We anticipate moving a great number of our programs off-site during construction, just because we will lose those precious 7 parking spots we have now. Because that's where the construction will be set up. again, by working on this very narrow piece of property, this small piece of property, we've used every possible inch of it that we can. And it's gonna make for tight quarters. There'll be an emergency egress out the side, but in terms of coming and going, it's gonna happen through that historic entrance. There'll be a ramp going, you won't have to go up the whole level, like right before that first set of steps, there'll be a ramp coming in at that level.
Will there be a drop-off box somewhere?
During construction, there will not be a good drop-off.
No, a box.
Box.
Oh, yes, I'm sorry, I
Well,
should have
thanks.
spoken to that. In the parking lot, where this island is right here, there's gonna be a place where you drive up, you can stick your arm out and put your books in there.
And then also during construction,
And during construction,
it'll be the front.
it'll be the front. Yes, Jack?
On the left side of the, new addition, on the left-hand side, it looks like there's an entrance that goes down below.
Down,
No,
the,
I'm sorry.
the one over to the side,
Show the,
front?
the addition on the left-hand side.
There wasn't.
It looks like underneath, there was some kind of.
Yes, you can see it here, Jack. You can see this door right here. Is this what you're referring to? This is an emergency egress door. That will remain during construction. And it will be there forever.
No, there was another one on.
Okay.
The front.
Oh,
Right
so,
there in the front.
okay. All right.
Right there, stop
The one on
there.
the left there.
One on the left,
Between the
meeting room and the
program
front door.
room, right there.
Right here, this door here?
Yes.
Okay, that, yeah, we saw that in the walkthrough. That's the new handicapped accessible front entrance. So when you come from Main Street, you have two choices. You can either hike up the steps for the historic entrance, or you can do the ramp to the handicapped accessible entrance. And the program room will be able to be opened and accessed via the front and the rear when the library is closed.
What are you doing with the existing ground floor? Where you have a function room and storage,
Friends of the library.
utilities, and Friends of the Library bookstore.
Yes, the area that right now we use as our program room, that should become the Friends of the Library book sale space. And then a lot of the basement will be taken, not a lot, there'll be new utilities, because we're gonna have air-to-air heat pumps. And we're gonna have new electrical service to be able to power an elevator, you need three-phase power. So there are gonna be some upgrades happening in the basement. We're gonna have, the whole building will be sprinkled, so there'll be equipment relating to that. So there will be some changes in the basement relating to the new mechanical systems. We'll have an air system that circulates our air so that we're getting clean air in as we heat and cool the air. The old air conditioning system will go away, the wall hung air conditioners.
So
It's all gonna be
basically a
heat pumps
mechanical
now.
room.
I'm sorry?
So basically, that would be a mechanical room.
Yes, but we have a boiler that still has a lot of life left in it. We're keeping it as a backup. Yes?
Where is the elevator in relation to that handicap accessible entry on the front?
Okay, so if you would most likely be coming in off the back, because most people will drive to the library, they'll park, and then they'll come in the back. But whether you come in the front, you're coming in past the large program room, and then you would go through the lobby, and there would be the elevator. Like, it's kind of like behind the circulation desk in that lobby space.
It's kind of, you know where you come in the back door now?
Yes.
That's where the elevator.
Yes,
But
that's,
it will be visible from the circulation desk.
Sort of.
yeah, this, behind the circulation desk, they'll actually be able to look over into the teen room, and that's also, that area is where the elevator will be located. So they will be able to see what's going on. And it's the same thing, we're talking about having the stairway glass enclosed. because then you see what's going on in the store. So that,
And then 2 staff offices are right
I didn't want to give too much detail, I was trying to find the happy medium for people who are like me and want to know what every door does, and the people who, okay, it's a library. So, between those two, yes.
I've got a question. First of all, I want to say this is a beautiful design, very exciting, and I can't wait to see it come to fruition. But I'm curious about the genealogy section. I can't wait to use that area, but like, why genealogy versus some other topic? Is this a trend in libraries, or how did you get to that?
Well, again, it's not just genealogy. We're calling it the Genealogy Room because we have a genealogy club that will meet there. The Board of Trustees will meet there. A book group will meet there. Lots of groups will meet there. It's a larger space, and they will have the resources and the research materials. Like, we have Meredith news that go back to 1920. So you're wondering what the weather was on this day, when you had a good day. You would be able to access that, or an obituary. So, and it's being called the Genealogy Room, but it's going to be a multi-purpose room.
Oh, okay.
Carol?
I don't know whether this is appropriate, but speaking about glass and other kinds of services, is there an estimated budget for cleaning and maintenance? Because there's gonna be a lot more to clean and a lot more to take care of, and I'm just wondering where that is and how that will fit into the library's budget.
Well, we've talked to the people who do our cleaning and maintenance now. They've seen the design, and we have a quote, and it's actually not that much more than it will be. Erin, do you have that exact number?
I don't know.
I have a whole sheet of all of the estimated numbers, and I can bring.
Like, the electricity will only go up, it won't double at all, it'll go up like 25% because we're gonna be so much more efficient. Every light will be LED, and the heat pumps will be so much more efficient than the systems we currently have. We're not running all those electric air conditioners anymore.
Part of the large number of clubs that utilize the library. Nottingham there's a computer, and I assume that there are other organizations out in town that would be interested in using it. What spaces will they be able to access?
Well, that's the most wonderful part. This library's designed to have lots of flexible spaces. So those non-emitters, right now they work in the nonfiction area, which will become the creativity space. They can continue to meet there where that sun streams in on a sunny day. Or they might choose, hey, we want to sit around the fireplace. That's good too. Libraries are not completely quiet spaces. That's a misconception. What we want to have is quiet areas within a library. So that's why we have the small, quiet group study rooms. But a lot of the clubs could, depending on the number of people that a particular program has attending, they have a number of options and spaces where they could meet. Like, the computer club, they would meet either in genealogy, they could meet in the program room, they might meet in the tech area if they're doing something with computers. The idea is that we can be very flexible with this design. And over time, as the library's needs change, we don't have to go back to the community and say, oh, our library's outdated. Libraries have changed. They're very much not about going in and getting a book anymore. People, they still do. Thank you, Erin. I have misspoken. They are not just about getting a book. But they are about that, as our very large circulation shows. But they're more about bringing, in a way that the community center brings our community together. They more function as the cultural, the art, that part of our community, a place where we can gather and talk about books. We can gather and learn things from each other. Yes?
I just have a little concern. I've gone through a renovation where I was part of the staff. I'm a little concerned for your staff as this goes forward. we ended up being in the basement, for our offices and wearing hard hats while they were running down the upstairs. I realize that that major shift of the circulation desk is going to move it, completely, 90 degrees. What provisions, and maybe Aaron will speak to this later on, so I don't need to know it right now, but I'm just curious about what provisions are being made for that time when the renovation.
Well, we have two different logistics plans. We're working with our construction manager, and they've given this incredible chart that details the logistics plan over the next year. But then we're also working internally on a logistics plan because they're gonna need to access the back of the building. So you know how cramped the space is behind circulation now. Well, we're gonna have to move some of those desks out into like the front historic room because they are gonna need to access that space. So this is not going to be painless. We are not suggesting that in any way. We're suggesting that this is gonna be wonderful.
The staff's excited. The staff-
Very excited.
So if it passes.
So Aaron, please, come up here, maybe you're better to adjust these questions.
That's okay.
Any other final questions?
Go ahead, Aaron, go ahead, address that.
The staff, we actually had a trial run when we had the flood last year. And I told the staff, now we kind of had our feet wet for the renovation and expansion. And they're just so excited and they're ready. That they'll put up with anything. They're wonderful. You guys know, they're great staff.
They put up with a lot so far.
Last question. By the time we get to the library bond issue, the school board will record the taxes. Public Works building come up. How do you sell it?
I think it's sold itself. I think that our community has said they're behind it. I think the 300 businesses and individuals in our community that put their own money voluntarily behind this project. I think the overwhelming support to put the design money in last year, when I think they were told at town meeting, hey, if you're putting this money in, no, we're coming back next year for a bond. And people overwhelmingly, it was like over 90%, voted for that design money, and they voted for the parking lot. Yes? Yes. Thanks, Dan.
Thank you. I'm on the capital, I'm a planning board rep, and I'm on the, along with Ann, and I'm on the capital improvements program committee, which is a budgeting committee with representatives from various interested parties. So I'm a planning board representative to that committee. We look at 7-year budget. We look at 7-year budget. Is that better? Okay. The Public Works building, $11 million approved last year. As Betty said, the approval of the design came last year. Now you've got a $4 million bonding issue here. It's going to be combined. The two of them are going to be combined because of the way the town manager spoke. That will save money on finance, which will make an impact. I think you add those two together, and this is a small incremental portion. And if McFarlane can get over $1 million, it would be even better. But, No pressure. Yeah, no pressure at all. So I think really, we have a lot invested as a community in this great institution. This extra $4 million, quite frankly, is not going to make that much of a difference. You will not pay, the first principal and interest will be paid in 2021, okay? And there's other existing debt that's coming off. This building is coming off in a couple of years. Fire department is paid off, police station, so forth. So we look at all the indebtedness and so forth. The high point of the indebtedness was 2009. We're well below, as a matter of fact, this year we're as low as you're going to get. So you'll see there's a lot of expendable trust funds that are on the town warrant this year. That's because this is your opportunity to put those funds up so that there's money there for the needs going forward when the debt continues. So, thank you.
I'm not sure you covered this or not, but it indicates that the public area can be separated out so that there'll be longer hours than the library.
Yes, I thought I mentioned that, I may not have, but yes, the new large program room, there'll be grates that come across and separated from the rest of the library, but the restrooms will be accessible, and both entrances will be accessible, just the rest of the library won't be accessible. So it could be open on a Sunday when the library's closed, it could be open after hours when the library closes. There'll be a lot more flexibility in using that as a town space.
And so there'll be somebody else managing the opening, closing?
Well, whoever's responsible for the program would, there'd probably be a library staff, I would think, there to make sure that when everything is closed up and the alarm's set and all that kind of stuff. But, Marty?
Does Aaron anticipate with the new construction and the new focus on the library for greater use, it'll affect library hours?
We are going to re-examine the library. I don't want to promise more hours right now. I think we need to see how it's going to work when we open and how busy we are. But we would like to be able to open more hours, keeping the same staff that we have now, because right now, we have to have 3 people in the building at all times, even in the evening when it's really slow because of our fire code issues. We have to keep someone in the children's room, someone's on the adult desk, and then a third person to go between the two. So we're hoping that in the evenings we might be able to get that down too. We don't know yet. We need to see how it's all going to play out.
Thank you.
Historically, when the library's done a renovation like Guilford or Moultonborough, their use has really increased because we can offer more programs. We can offer so many more things that people are interested in. Yes, Pam?
What are the implications for staffing? Do you anticipate you'll have to hire more people? Or
We do not. We can staff this with the same amount of people. Carol?
Okay, so this is probably a little bit of a silly question, but you did mention copy service.
Mm-hmm.
Is that a contract basis with someone else?
We're still working out the details. We're thinking like you pay $1 and you get a K-cup. No, we don't know yet. We don't know, but we want to have an optionality, if you're a tea drinker or a hot chocolate, and you want to sit there, Yes, so we do not know the answer to that any more than what's going to go in our wonderful creativity space, but.
What's gonna happen to the garden?
So depends on the Friends of the Library, who have done that garden for decades, and it's really a cherished thing in our town, in our community. What we want to do is we may have part of that garden moved. They may choose to move some of that garden to the back entrance and replace it with some shrubs in the front, because we're going to re-landscape that area where the veteran space will be. But that's all yet to be determined, and it's up to the Friends. We are going to have a opportunity that you can get an engraved paver in the patio, and that'll be another opportunity that will be coming out in the next couple of months. Okay. Anything else? Then let's move on to Jim. And please, if you have a question that comes up after, understand that Aaron and I are always available, or other members of the building committee, to answer any questions. We've worked hard on this for a year, and we didn't think of everything. We're only like 6 people, community members, so any ideas you have, we may have missed it, so please tell us.
Good morning.
Morning.
Before I jump in, on the elevator location, you all have those pages on your tables. Flip them over, look at the back, and that will show you on the first floor where the elevator will be located. Okay, so you see the first floor with the yellow children's room, right? And then you'll see the elevator is right there. Got it? Everybody clear on where that elevator will be tucked? Okay?
Dark gray square.
Dark gray square. Thank you. Thank you so much. All right, good morning. And I look out across this room. My name is Jim McFarland. In case you don't happen to know me, most of you have I've been in touch with, to say the least. I look out and I see past donors and I see potential donors. in this room. Excitingly and wonderfully, the great majority of people here this morning are past donors, which is really an incredible story about how we launched the Meredith Library Fund's capital campaign about a year ago. Okay, we had the State of the Library, and I stood up here and said we were launching our $1.125 million capital campaign. And it's pretty exciting to stand here today and tell you we're at $915,000 in the bank. Okay? That's a tribute to my team, okay? Amy LaFave, Stephen Gear, our treasurer, Jeff Riley, Jamie Laurent, okay? An incredible team of 5 people that have worked so hard to engage with the community and get us to this point. So it's been quite an adventure. If you have not donated yet, I'll be standing at the back of the room. Okay, we take PayPal and all that good stuff. So, you know, it's really a tribute to our community, frankly, that we've been able to do what we've been able to do in a year's time to raise those funds. Most of you are aware that on January 18th, I went to the P.O. box, and there was a check. I didn't have my reading glasses, so I thought it was a check for $250 to the library fund, which turned out when my wife Pat grabbed the check and said, "No, dear, that's 250,000,000," which was the incredible anonymous donation for the library fund in memory of Alexander P. Nichaporek. So repeat after me, Nichaporek. This is a gentleman who donated in 2010 in his will $650,000 as an endowment for the Meredith Public Library. So it's extremely fitting that the large program room will be in his name, okay? So he will get the recognition that he so much deserves. So, are there any questions? I mean, the other thing I want to make sure we all understand here is that we will attend town meeting and we will vote in favor of the warrant article for the library project, because I know who you are. I know where most of you live at this point. And I will be, if you need me to drive you, I can be McUber, as I do the Mick thing real good. So anyway, any questions about the library fund? It's been, you go to our website, meredithlibraryfund.org, you'll see a list, which is pretty incredible. We're over 460 names and companies. Think about that, in a small community in a year who have donated to this project. It really speaks to the broad-based support for this project and getting us a new library at this point. So I just wanted to make the effort to thank the community for the tremendous support that has been provided to us and to ourselves. We're really supporting ourselves. When you look at it that way, this is an investment in our community that will last a generation. So it's pretty exciting that that we're here today celebrating this success. Any questions for the library fund? Good. Thank you. Take care.
Thank you so much, Jim. Jim is a fearless fundraiser, and we definitely wouldn't be where we are right now without him. So thank you, Jim. I'm not used to Max. So I'm going to be talking very briefly because we can all smell the pizza. Our 2019 year in review and some of the things the staff is looking forward to should we pass town meeting and we get a new building. And for more information on what the staff is looking forward to, it's in this month's newsletter, and there's a few copies on the table, and there's more at the library. Thank you. So briefly, we're going to look at that's good. Okay, briefly, we're going to look at the numbers. And last year, we had almost 50,000 people visit us. We had 58,362 items checked out, And 6,587 people came to one of our events. That's of all ages. But what do those numbers mean? So our event attendance is up 21% from 2018. And one of the things Betty talked about was how libraries are changing. So our circulation was up slightly. So people are still coming to take items out. However, our event attendance was up significantly. And people are coming to the library more for cultural events and for learning. Also, 70% of our residents hold a library card. And there was a Gallup poll, and on your tables is a infographic card. It's the maroon card that Linda created. And there was a poll recently where Americans were asked what places they go most frequently. And the number one place that they go is the library. And it beat out going to the movies. That was the next most popular, 2 times as much. So 10.5 times Americans visit the library in a year, and the movies were 5.3. And it also beat out museums, casinos, theme parks, live sporting events, theater and music, zoos, and national and historic parks. We beat them all. So going forward, what are some of the things, I talked to the staff, that they're looking forward to doing in a new design that they can't do now. And a lot of people don't realize that there's a lot of social work that goes on at a library. People think that we're about reading. And Judy, I don't know what Judy is, but Judy and I used to interview people. And the question I always start with is, why do you want to work at the Meredith Public Library? And if anyone told me it's because I love to read, they weren't hired. And reading is important. We like people to read, but I do have staff members that don't read, and I won't give them away. It's more about how you interact with people and your enthusiasm for the work. And so we deal with issues every day. Homelessness. Some of you may not realize we do have a homeless situation in Meredith. A lot of people are camping on the conservation land, and it's cold, so they come to the library during the day. We have people who are addicted coming to the library. They drink opioids, and we can tell when they're using. And family members of those addicts will come in and ask us for resources on how they can help their family members. We deal with poverty. I have people that come in and actually steal some of our things from the kitchen. I once had someone eat half my lunch. Loneliness. A lot of people come in the library and they're there, and they'll stay at that front desk and talk to us for an hour or 2, which we're fine, we're very chatty. But we also, Sherry does the homebound. So if you're stuck at home, Altrusa Club working with the library will deliver to you. And we have this one patron who's been coming in for years, always picked up his book, very excited, and I was noticing he hadn't come in for the book, and I started to worry. So Sherry called him, he said he hasn't been feeling well, he doesn't think he can make the climb to get in there up the stairs because he walks. And she said, oh, well, we'll deliver. So now he's taking the delivery service. So we keep tabs on people. And coalitions, that was the last thing. Linda's excited that going forward, we're hoping in our new spaces that we can bring people from the community that know how to deal with these things better than us, to train us or to work with the people in the community who need help.
Like we did when we brought the veterans in.
Yes, we brought the Veterans Administration in, and they said it was the biggest turnout they ever had. And veterans learned about what benefits they had coming to them. I was really surprised by what benefits they had, and I think a lot of them will too. So also, Matthew was very excited, and some of the other staff, about the new space. And we have people come in, they need to meet privately. They are talking about some of those sensitive issues that we talked about. Maybe they need help with their computer, and it's a problem with their checking. And Chris or Matthew might help them with that, but they don't want to do it at the front desk. So places that we can meet with people privately in those small meeting rooms. Places to collaborate. I have people come in all the time, they're looking for a small meeting room, 4 or 5 people. We'll have that going forward. To learn, our workshops have been really well attended. Our paint classes fill up with a waiting list every time. Calligraphy class, so we'll be able to do more of that. And a place to work quietly. There's no place quiet in that library, and I think the staff is probably the loudest part of the library. So we'll be in our quiet place, and then there'll be quiet places to go and work, as Betty already said. Tutors come in, homeschoolers, and then Joyce was saying, I want to spread out. I'm trying to do research, I've got the newspapers, I've got my books, there's no place to do that. Well, now there will be.
Question,
Yes.
if an outside organization, a commercial organization, that's lodged at one of the inns, wants to come in and is looking for a space for a meeting, is there any consideration of renting out?
Well, we don't charge at the library, but probably what we will do, the community center has if you're a Meredith resident, you get priority. It's something, a policy that the trustees need to come up with of how we're gonna handle that, because we are going to have meeting room software, so that people can book whatever room they want. It's all tracked on software, so we don't have to, keep writing it down on paper. But the trustees need to come up with a way of monitoring that, and we haven't done that yet, Jeff, but we will. Karen, very excited for the new children's room. Right now it's up in the attic. We go up all those flights of stairs, get all the way up there, and then the kid has to go to the bathroom, and you come all the way down. So our new children's room will be right at the back. Come in the back door, it'll be right there, bright, beautiful, windows, well lit, and there'll be a bathroom, craft area, discovery zone, your own circulation area as well. Teen room, currently we don't have just a teen-only space. John's very excited about this. He has a gastro hub idea for the look of it, and the kids are really excited too, because we have a large following of teens. It seems to grow every year. He does a great job with them, and a lot of them have no place to go after school, but they come to us. So they're going to have a safe, comfortable space. They're going to have some help in designing it too, of what's going to be in it for a collection. Our historic rooms, personally, I'm most excited about these. I'm looking forward to a winter afternoon with the fireplaces lit and a group of people chatting about a book here, and the knitters are over here, and the family's working on a puzzle. We'll have our coffee cafe area, people looking out on Main Street. I think you're really going to be thrilled with this one. So. And the large meeting room, we've talked about that quite a bit, the ability to close it off and use it after hours. And it's all going to be accessible. One of the things that bothers me is people that want to use the library and can't. They are in a large wheelchair, our lift doesn't accommodate it. We had one boy that didn't want to use the lift, and he would dump himself out of the wheelchair and climb up the stairs with his hands. It was awful. I don't ever want to have to see that again. So we're really looking forward to an elevator. We have 2 handicap spaces, a drop-off. Everything is going to be accessible. Yes?
So are you gonna have an actual kitchen?
Yes, we will have a kitchen in the meeting room space.
And that will be accessible with the programs after the library
Yes, it
closes?
will. Yes. And that's it from me. Any questions about that? Yes.
I'm looking at the back of this page. Where is this historic room? I see a reading.
When you come into the front of the library, of the historic steps, you have those 2 rooms on each side. Those are original to the building. Those are going to be restored to look like they did in 1901.
Right.
Anything else? Okay, one last thing, and we have a raffle. And we're going to be have them eventual wedding, where they'll say, those of you who have been married for at least 5 years, please stand up. All the way back to 60 or 70 years. We're going to do that with who's been using the Meredith Public Library. So how many of you have been using the Meredith Public Library for at least 5 years? Please stand, or you just raise your hand. How about 10 years? 15? 20? 25? 30? 35? 40? 45? 50? 55? 60? 65? Oh my God. 70? All right, so let's go back to 65. And Paul, you can't win because you're a trustee. He lives right next door. 66, 67, 68. Oh, it's Pam! Yeah, that's here. Pam put together this lovely basket with library swag and other goodies. And New Hampshire goodies that Pam won. So Pam, thanks for playing. Thank you everyone for playing. And for So the pizza is here. It was brought to us by the Mud, who do a great job catering. We're really excited. So do you want to do this by table? The library. And we have been very behind the scenes on a lot of things. We love you coming to our book sales. If you came to the one in February, that was a Thursday, Friday, and Saturday, we grossed $1,300 and I think $60 or $70. Over the course of a year, multiply that times 3, and that's how we make it. Also, we've had Once Read Books, which was down at the Hanover Shopping Center, and then because we couldn't have that space anymore, we moved down to Concord to the Concord Antique Center, and then that closed up, and so we are kind of a book sale on wheels, and we're still waiting for places to land, but we do have shelf sales, and these are very unique books that sometimes they will sell for $40 and $50. And so we can make a lot of money with that way. Over the course of the last couple years, we gave the friends of the Meredith Library Fund $3,000 to start up. And then we promised them another $10,000, which they get whenever March 1st is. Oh, tomorrow.
I'll be over.
Well, Mr. McFarlane, you will not receive a check for $10,000. You will receive a check for $20,000. So we're getting a little closer to that million mark. We do have deep pockets, and we had a quick mini board meeting, and want to give you another 10.
That's wonderful.
So based upon that additional $10,000, we just blew past $950,000 raised. So we get to put another decal on the thermometer. And Rotary Club, the membership has to vote their next meeting, but the board of directors approved a second $25,000 donation to the Meredith Library Fund at their board meeting last Wednesday. So that's why we're vaulting toward the $1 million mark. So if anybody just wants to get us from 950 to $1 million, please see me in the back of the room. Thank you so much, friends.
Baked all the goodies today, so thank you to them for doing that. They do so much for us. If you haven't joined yet, please consider joining. You can go see them about that. So I'm going to call tables so we're not all rushing at the same time for pizza.